Welcome to another free video from IT Free Training. In this video, I will show you how to install the tools required to effectively administer group policy in your organization. I will also look at how to centralize the ADMX tools required from your group policy on your network. After viewing this video, you will be able to effectively administer group policy from your client computer rather than using a server. The client computer can be the latest operating system or running an older operating system like Windows XP. In order to edit group policy, you require GPMC or Group Policy Management Console. Even if your organization does not have a single Windows Server 2008 domain controller, it can still make use of the new features available in group policy. For example, on a network with only Windows Server 2003 domain controllers, it is possible to configure settings for Windows Server 2008 R2 member servers and Windows 7 clients. You can also use new features in group policy like preferences. The key to doing this is to make sure all group management tools and configuration files are up to date. The install procedure is different depending on which operating system you are using. On Windows Server 2008, the GPMC is installed as a feature. To install this feature, run Server Manager and ensure that the feature Group Policy Management feature is installed. In Windows Vista and Windows 7, GPMC is a part of the Remote Server Administration tools, downloadable from the Microsoft website. With Windows XP, you can download the GPMC as a standalone install from Microsoft. This will give you the ability to modify group policy depending on which operating system you are running, but group policy also has configuration files that define the settings used in group policy. As we learned in a previous video from this series, one of the new features added with Windows Server 2008 is the ability to use an ADMX file with group policy. An ADMX file replaces the old ADM file format used to define the administrative templates part of group policy. It is an XML-based format, making it easier to work with. Being an XML file means that a user can add their own ADMX files to group policy. This is possible with ADM, but not as easy. If you start creating your own ADMX files, you may want to look at centralizing those ADMX files. Doing this will mean multiple administrators will be able to use the same copy of the ADMX files, ensuring that only the most up-to-date copy of the ADMX file is ever used. Even if you do not create any custom ADMX files, centralizing the ADMX files will make it easier to provide updates. For example, if new ADMX files were to be released for Windows 8, it would be a simple matter of updating the ADMX in the central store, and all the administrators on the network will have access to the new ADMX files. Lastly, ADMX files support multiple languages. Making the ADMX template centralized makes it easier to add additional languages when required. The ADMX files are installed by default in C, Windows, Policy Definitions. These are installed when GPMC is installed. To centralize the ADMX files, it is a simple matter of copying these files to the sysfile share. GPMC will automatically check this location for ADMX files. You can copy the files from the C drive, but to get the latest ADMX files, it is worthwhile downloading these from the Microsoft website. I will now change to my Windows 7 computer to look at how to install the GPMC and centralize the ADMX files with the latest files from the Microsoft website. First of all, I need to download the Remote Server Administration tools from the Microsoft website. You will find the hyperlink in the description of this video. It can also be found easily enough by using a search engine. Once I have found the website, all I need to do is select the download option. Once the download is complete, run the setup program. The GPMC is only one of the tools installed with Remote Server Administration tools, but in this example, it will be the only one that is being used. The install is quite simple. Accept the license at the license screen and finish the install wizard. The install takes a few minutes to complete, but I have sped up the process. Once the install is finished, a help screen will appear to tell you how to enable the tools you require. The process involves opening the control panel, selecting Program, and then selecting the option Turn Windows Features On or Off. All the administration tools are found under Remote Server Administration Tools. The GPMC is found under Feature Administration Tools. All that needs to be selected is the option Group Policy Management Tools. Now that the Group Policy Management tools have been installed, I can run Group Policy Management from under Administrative Tools under the Start menu. Next, I will expand down to one of the domain group policies and edit it. Since Group Policy Management has just been installed, a warning will appear telling me that I have selected a link and thus the group policy object will be edited instead. It is safe to acknowledge this message and edit the group policy. If you are unsure of how the links work in group policy, in the next video, links in group policy will be covered in more detail. Notice that when I scroll over the administrative templates, it informs us that policy definitions are now retrieved from the local machine. To make management of the ADMX files easier, I will move these into a central store. First of all, I want to make sure that I have the latest ADMX files, so I will open Internet Explorer and perform a search for the ADMX templates. The link for this download can be found in the description for this video. Once the file has been downloaded from the Microsoft website, I will run it from the desktop. The install is a simple process. Bypass the welcome, accept the license, choose default install path, and then simply next your way to the end. If I open Windows Explorer and navigate to the Windows drive, under the directory Policy Definitions is the current ADMX file that is being used by the Group Policy Management console. Notice all the ADMX files and the language directory at the top of the screen. In the language folder, you can see all the ADML files. You can use these files for the central store, but these may not be the most up-to-date and do not contain extra languages. I will instead navigate to the Program Files directory, Microsoft Group Policy, and down through the directories. You will notice that a large number of language directories will appear. Below these are the ADMX files. To copy these to the central store, copy the directory Policy Definitions. Next, you need to open the sysvol folder. The sysvol folder is located on each domain controller. If you do not know the name of a domain controller, you can always enter in // followed by the domain name / followed by sysvol. In the sysvol folder is a shortcut to the domain. Once opened, there are two directories, one for policies and another for scripts. Under the Policies directory is a folder for each of the group policies that have been created in the domain. The next step is to create the central store. Copy the Policy Definitions directory to this location. I have copied all the language folders in this case. However, you should remove the ones that you do not need in order to make the sysvol folder smaller. If I open the folders that store group policies, notice there are three directories. The first folder is ADM. This folder contains the old ADM files before ADMX was developed. For each group policy that was created, a separate ADM file was copied to this location. You can see why ADMX files are more efficient because all group policies share the same set of ADMX files. The machine folder contains the group policy settings for the computer side of group policy. The folder User contains the group policy settings for the user side of group policy. If I close out of here and go back to Group Policy Management, Notice the differences when I edit one of the group policies. This time, when I expand down to administrative templates, notice that the ADMX files are now being retrieved from a central store rather than using the ADMX files on the local computer. Notice as well the folder Classic Administrative Templates ADM. I have added an ADM file to this group policy so that it will now be visible. This is how the Group Policy Management Console allows you to use the old ADM files or the new ADMX files. Whenever possible, you should use the newer ADMX files, but if you have group policy that uses the old ADM files, you are still able to edit and reuse these. This video has looked at how to install the GPMC and how to store ADMX files in a central store. Assuming that Microsoft releases ADMX files for Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012, you will be able to use the same process to add these templates to the central store, making Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012 group policy settings available to you in the domain. Thanks for watching another free video from IT Free Training. All our videos are free to watch on YouTube anytime. See you next time.